I have actually no clue how to start this video. So here's a picture of Buzz Lightyear's Fortnite skin. Look at that. Anyways. Toy Story 5 has recently released because I guess Pixar's shareholder meeting last year didn't go very well. I like to think that the Disney CEO just has a button in his office that will automatically greenlight a new Toy Story whenever he presses it. And he only uses it whenever they're losing a lot of money. Although one time he pressed it and accidentally made Lightyear, so they need to retool the button after that. I'd call myself a pretty large Toy Story fan, which I doubt comes as a shock to literally anybody. Although I feel like you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't like these films. But I was like a super mega fan when I was a kid. I used to have just all the fucking toys you could imagine, except the expensive ones because I was poor. But man, I remember all the good times I had playing with them when I was a kid. It feels like it was just yesterday.
Are you aware of how many toys have been broken or damaged in the last year alone? Counting and not counting Sid playtime. What the fuck was that?
Obviously, the first three films will always hold a special place in my heart. 3 is in my top 3 favorite Pixar movies ever. I don't know where exactly it ranks, but it's definitely up there. Also, if anyone's wondering, the other two are Monsters, Inc. and The Incredibles. Yes, I'm a basic bitch, I know. I actually like the fourth one too. I mean, it's still my least favorite of the series, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as everyone seems like to pretend it is. It has its flaws, yeah. Like I think Gabby is kind of a lame villain, and her whole arc isn't like super interesting or captivating, in my opinion, at least. Although I do think that one scene where the little girl just goes like nah, and, like chucks her in the box. I think it's really funny though for some reason. Not a huge fan of the lobotomy they gave Buzz in between films either. But I still think overall the movie works well as an epilogue for Woody's arc. Toys in this universe are obviously meant to represent parents, and finding yourself in sort of a midlife crisis after your kid grows up and moves on without you is, I assume, probably a fairly common thing. I mean, I would know. I'm not a parent. But as a Woody, Woody learning to move on by like traveling the world with his bad bitch and sort of discovering himself again is, I think, at least a pretty sweet ending to the franchise. If still ultimately an unnecessary one. I can't fucking talk today. I still think it's nice and cute, and puts a nice little bow on the series. I understand not liking it, but also I don't think it's 6-hour rant bad though. Although that is easily like one of the top 10 best YouTube videos ever made. One thing I'll agree upon though is that the film, yes, is ultimately just an unnecessary continuation made solely for profit.
You wanna see me do it again?
Pixar's been kind of on a shit streak ever since 2020. I like most of the originals they've been making, and I think most people do too. They just haven't really been any of Pixar's bests. I think Luca and Turning Red are both pretty solid. They're fun little flicks, and I think Turning Red is especially an important movie for the subject matter it covers, and I can assume it probably resonated pretty well with young girls. I actually really like Soul. It's probably in my Pixar top 5. But then you have like Onward, and I think it's probably like the most forgettable film they've ever made. It's like it's not awful or anything. It's just sort of nothing. Lightyear. I don't like Elemental, too much het slop, and I haven't seen Elio or Hoppers, although I hear that Hoppers is good, but Elio, I haven't heard anything about Elio, really. I don't know anyone who's watched Elio. But like, either way, I think the fact that most people's favorite thing Pixar has made since 2020 is Inside Out 2 probably says to Pixar at least that sequels are the way to go. So a bunch of them have been getting greenlit recently, and given the fact that Inside Out 2 also became like the biggest movie ever, or whatever, I doubt that's changing anytime soon. And all of that, fucking finally, brings us to Toy Story 5, because they're gonna force Tom Hanks to do this until he's a shriveled up, senile old man who can only speak in Woody voice box lines he remembers. Okay, Mr. Hanks, are you ready for your medicine? Somebody's poisoned the water hole. Yes, that's what this medicine will help with that UTI you have there. I like the wind, boss. So, how is the film? I don't know yet. I'll be honest with you. I write and record these intros before I actually see the movie, so I can just like speed write my review once I get home, and then finish the video the next day. Uh, I guess we're gonna find out now. One Toy Story 5 later. There was a guy in the theater sitting right next to me who looked like he was at least mid-30s, and every time the film made like any joke at all, he would belly laugh at the top of his lungs, and he would laugh like Seth Rogen. He go like I can do a good Seth Rogen impression. I'm sorry. But anyways, the movie, uh, yeah, it was fine. I guess it was all right. That's about it. Woody Toy Story. Okay, fine. I do have more to say. Okay. First things first, though. This is a spoiler review already, obviously. So if you haven't seen the film yet, I'd suggest probably doing that first. Although, if you choose not to, you aren't really missing that much. Gotta be honest with you. So this is probably my least favorite Toy Story film. Although that isn't to say it's bad. It's not, and I do think there actually is a fair bit to enjoy. It's just, in my opinion, the weakest of the franchise so far, at least. It's a fun romp. There's some cute and wholesome moments, a few funny jokes, a few laughs to be had, but also I think the best way to describe it is this movie is exactly what you'd expect from the fifth installment of a film franchise. The film is about, as you probably know, toys versus technology, and how Bonnie's new iPad has started taking all the attention away from the toys. The subject matter is handled probably about how you'd expect, but I do like that the film doesn't just have a straight up phone bad message, but rather it does show that these things can have some useful applications for kids, like being able to more easily connect with others who share your same interests and make friends. It's just that there also needs to be heavy monitoring and restrictions from parents. Otherwise, you'll stumble across all the bad parts of the internet, like the pedophiles. There's a scene towards like the beginning of the third act, where fucking like Bonnie's friends in her group chat all start bullying her because they saw a picture of Jesse and Bullseye, and they send like AI generated images of babies crying, and then Bonnie starts like sobbing at her iPad screen, and like it was a little funny. I do wish that maybe there was just a tad bit more emphasis put on how the device itself can be bad if unmonitored, and because like these things they're full of like fucking addictive games and shit for kids to be playing all day, and like Bonnie's parents don't give her like any screen time restrictions or anything. But I mean, at the same time, this is a Disney film. They don't want to tell kids to get off their iPad. That means they'll spend less time consuming Disney content. So I mean, what do you expect? So I think the message is a nice one that probably both kids and parents could definitely take away something from, but it does feel a tad underbaked. Jessie is put in the main character role this time around, which honestly I don't mind at all. This series has such a huge cast of characters at this point, and I mean, they've made it clear that they're gonna keep pumping these things out till the sun explodes. So I think if that's gonna be the case either way, I'd rather they start doing more unique and experimental things with these films. Keep it fresh. Give other characters a spotlight. Toy Story 9 is gonna be the ham movie where we dive into his struggles with gambling addiction. I'm calling it now. But Jessie does work really well in the protagonist role. I had fun watching her journey and seeing her get over Emily again. They don't actually do much with Emily, but it was still enough. I think I still enjoyed what was there, and like seeing she named her kid Jesse. I thought that was cute. Buzz was also great in this film too. He thankfully grew back his brain after Toy Story 4 and is actually a competent character again. Hooray! The Buzz Army was also there too. I guess they don't do much other than occupy a fun little C plot and converge with the main guys in the third act, and then after that they're just kind of there, but they were fun. I liked them. But then you have Woody though, and like I'll be honest with you, He did not need to be in this film. You could cut him out entirely and not much would change. He's really just here to get called old and bald and fat. For some reason, the marketing was obsessed with Woody's big gassy beer belly, but it only shows up like 2 times in the actual movie. It's not to say I didn't enjoy his presence. Obviously, I love me some Sheriff Woody action. And, you know, obviously, the only reason he is here is just because they gotta have Tom Hanks' name front and center on the poster. But, like, I don't know. Like, I honestly, in some ways, the story might be improved without Woody here. Then there's the new characters, but the only one that really stood out to me was Smarty Pants, who is this potty training toy voiced by Conan O'Brien. Because, yeah, that's what I've always wanted to hear while I'm taking a shit. The voice of Conan O'Brien. He does exactly what you expect him to do, which is just make a bunch of cheap poop jokes for an hour and a half. But you know what? Honestly, he was kind of funny. Whenever he wasn't doing that, I actually liked him a fair bit. I have no thoughts on his 2 friends other than the fact that one of them, this camera character named Snappy, is voiced by the same person who voiced Peridot in Steven Universe, and that made me chuckle a bit when I realized. And then finally, there's all the returning characters who do basically nothing, just like Toy Story 4, which honestly I expected. They all get like a line or 2 each, but also are all literally shoved into a box for half the film. Which, like, again, there's such a massive cast at this point. I get it's difficult to juggle that many characters, especially with new ones being added every single film. But I do still wish that they maybe got just a tad more to do. The funniest return, though, is probably Ducky and Bunny, who are delegated to a silent cameo, because Key and Peele are going through relationship problems in real life right now. Something else with the characters, though, and maybe one of the reasons that most of them don't actually really say or do a whole lot, is because all the voice actors are very noticeably aging, and everyone just sounds much older now. It's probably most notable with Joan Cusack, the voice actress of Jessie, but Buzz can sound a little off sometimes too. Then there's the fact this series has been going for so long that some of the voice actors have died, like the late and great Don Rickles and Estella Harris, the voice actors of Mr. and Miss Potato respectively, who were both a recast for this film. And, like, the new people sound fine, especially given how little they speak. That makes it a little bit less noticeable. Mrs. only has, like, 2 lines during one of the post-credit scenes. I'm glad they're not doing, like, shitty AI voice cloning at least. Not yet anyways, but, yeah. Okay, anything else? Taylor Swift made a new song for this movie, and it's not very good. Watch that be the most controversial thing I say this entire video. At the, like, worldwide premiere of the film, Randy Newman and Taylor Swift did a cover of You Got a Friend in Me together, and it's really funny, because Randy just, like, insults her for no reason in the middle of the performance, like, damn, nobody fuck with this lady, huh?
Some folks might be a little bit smarter than I am. No one's smarter than you. Who's that scooting on a scooter, fatty doo-doo? Who's got doo-doo like a fatty scooty-doo?
I guess the final thing I have to say is I'm looking forward to see whatever they do with Toy Story 6, because don't be fooled, they're gonna make Toy Story 6. This is the first film since the second one where they don't act like it's the last one in the series, which I appreciate. At least at this point, they know that we know by now. So I'm sure it'll still be good, you know, yet probably on the same level of quality as the last 2 films. Film's still alright. I think it's like an 8 out of 10, you know. I can see why you'd like it more than Toy Story 4, and I'm sure you'll still have a good time with it nonetheless. There's nothing offensively bad here. You know, I wouldn't even call this film like a disappointment or anything. You know, I still do think it even justifies its existence more or less. It's just, by Pixar standards and Toy Story standards especially, it's just alright, you know? But it's still not by any means a bad movie. Now all that's left to do is wait for the 17-hour rant video, and trust me, for that, I will be seated day 1.
Woody, Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, Jessie and Rex, Forky and Sleeky, Mr. Potato.